love and compassion, our God will answer their call.
In Luke's Gospel, we learn that right after the Annunciation, when the angel Gabriel visited Mary and she consented to be the mother of Jesus, the very next thing she did was put her fears aside and went off to visit her cousin Elizabeth. And I think that what that tells us, it's a beautiful example of what we're supposed to do as Christians when we come out of our contemplative side and move it into action. And so today we're going to look at some examples and models of social justice and the Catholic social teaching that has surrounded our spirituality, our legacy in the church. And I'm beginning with this image here, and it's called the windsock visitation. And it's Mary and Elizabeth greeting each other with a windsock, the Holy Spirit, the wind of the Holy Spirit blowing behind them. And I want to tell you the story about the painting, because it's real significant in my own artistic journey and in my journey to an awareness of what it truly means to live a life based on social justice, of reaching out to others. It was painted for Sisters of the Visitation who live in a monastery in North Minneapolis. Now, I'm an oblate of St. Francis de Sales, and back in 1610, St. Francis de Sales and his best friend, St. Jane de Chantal, founded this order of nuns, the Sisters of the Visitation. And what 25 years ago, 4 of them decided to move out of their academy girls settings and live in the inner city, because that's exactly what Francis and Jane wanted these sisters to do back in 1610. But back then, the laws of the church forbade women from living out on the streets. They called it the Sisters of the Visitation because they wanted them to be women who would visit the sick in their homes, visit the poor, walk the streets of France, and get out there and do all these the works of mercy. But the church said they had to be a monastic, cloistered order. So 25 years ago, 4 sisters decided they wanted to get back to the original concept that Francis and Jane had in mind, and they got a house in North Minneapolis, right on the corner of 16th and Fremont. And in 1993, I was there at a spirituality conference, and the sisters had an open house. And I went with a friend, and we were sitting on the couch in their living room. It's just a regular house in the neighborhood like any other. And we're facing the fireplace, and over the fireplace, they had a picture of the Visitation of Mary and Elizabeth, but it was 2 chubby German women, blonde hair, rosy cheeks, dressed up in Renaissance clothes. It was a Dürer print. And my friend Linda that I was sitting with said, "What is that doing here?" She said, "I'm commissioning a painting from you right now that reflects the women of this neighborhood." I shared that story a couple years ago, and a woman yelled from the back, "What's wrong with chubby German women?" And she was. But in any event, I got to work on this. I was still teaching. I didn't even have a studio yet. I worked on this painting in my bedroom. And I was living in Philly, and the woman who commissioned the painting was in Virginia. And I drove it down to Virginia when I finished it, and I showed it to Linda, and she said, "We can't not be there when the sisters open this." She said, "Let's go out, we'll have an unveiling and a trumpet and the whole bit."
Who refused to be defended